Oh my gosh, what a day. Obviously, I know what the headlines all are right now. Everybody's talking about tariffs and everything else under the sun. And just a heads up, we are going to get to tariffs with John Carney here in just a little bit on I'm Right Tonight. But I wanted to address something that I've been seeing and something we have to keep at the front of our minds at all times. The mass importation of foreigners. What is the purpose of it? And what do we have to do about it? Not an option. What do we have to do about it? First, understand that this is not unique to America. Maybe that makes you feel better. Maybe it makes you feel worse. Virtually all the leaders of Western civilization now, they hate their countries. They're only in it for money and power. And they realize the patriotic citizen of their country, whether you're in America or Canada or UK, wherever, the patriotic citizen is the biggest threat to the evil people who want to destroy the country. You are the biggest threat to the people who run the United States of America. So what do they do about that? Well, they have to find a way to replace you. We live in a representative republic. If they don't represent you, in fact, if they hate you, they have to figure out a way to get some new voters in here, a new support base. And so that's the reason country after country after country has imported foreigners as fast as the law and the people will allow them to do so. What we saw in the United States of America under Joe Biden is one of the most evil things, if not the most evil thing ever done by the United States government in any form. The Joe Biden government opened up the borders of this country on purpose and brought in as many people as they could. They were so desperate to bring in as many as they could, they created an app for foreigners to invade the country. Legal, illegal, they brought them in as fast as possible. 20 million is the estimate. And again, because these are evil demons, they didn't care if they were rapists, murderers, thieves, and of course so many of them were. They were only interested in power and burning down America. And you know what else they were not interested in? They were not interested in the law, the Constitution, any of those other things. They have no regard for those things at all. They're only interested in doing evil deeds for money and power. And they did it. They harmed this country in ways that may be irreparable, which brings us to the Trump administration. They've announced record lows at the border. That's a good thing. They've also announced after a couple months, 2-3 months, 100,000 people have been deported. That's good. It's not near enough, but it's good. Which brings us to, how do we handle this? Because, of course, I know what you're probably already thinking. Well, it would be more if it wasn't for these judges and all these things. And we have judges like this Judge Boasberg. Trump administration loads 250 animals on a plane and sends them to El Salvador. We're talking the worst of the worst, the face tattoos, the murders, the everything. Judge steps up and says, no, bring them back to America. I want them here. Bring them back to America. So what do we do? Well, we have to get them out. We have to get them out. And notice I didn't qualify that with anything. Notice I didn't say we have to do everything possible under the law to get them out. No, we have to get them out. I'll use this analogy for you because we on the right, we love rules. We love the law. We love the Constitution, and I'm glad you do. The Constitution is wonderful. And it is wonderful to be a lawful country where people follow the law. So I'll use this example. Let's say, my boys are older now, but let's say they're little, real little, 5, 6 years old, okay? And because they're boys, they're meatheads, so they're not allowed to play with knives and scissors because they're just gonna hurt somebody, most likely themselves with it. And let's say I tell them, don't touch the fire extinguisher, ever. We have this big fire extinguisher right there. You are not allowed to touch the fire extinguisher because I'm worried about them hurting themselves or each other with it. Let's say I'm at work. Maybe mom is out back watering the garden or something. No one's inside. And a raging fire starts in the kitchen. 6-year-old's looking at that fire extinguisher. Do I want him to grab it and use it? Or do I want him to follow the law, the rules? Well, okay, that begs the question, what was the point of the rule? The point of the rule was to ensure that everybody was safe. It was to ensure the betterment of the people who live in my home. That was the point of the rule. The rule didn't exist for fun. It didn't exist just to be a rule. The rule had a purpose. Well, if one political party is intent on bringing in as many barbarians into the country as humanly possible, then no matter what, the other political party must get them all out. Every man, woman, and child, they must all go the second the other political party takes over. Because here's what absolutely positively will not work, and we don't have a country. I don't care about your arguments otherwise. We do not have a country. If Democrats get elected and do, well, exactly what Joe Biden said he was going to do.
And so we're trying to make it easier for people to get here, opening up the capacity to get here.
Trying to make it easier for people to get here. He said during the debate, there's going to be a rush at the border. Rush the border. He told them to do it. They did it. They fled to the border. So Democrats get elected, and because now the modern Democrat Party is full of evil communists, they're just going to bring in as many people as possible with no regard to laws. Remember, they didn't care about the law. The Biden administration sued, so they didn't have to build the border wall. And after Trump won the election, the Biden administration took the border wall materials and sold it off, so the wall couldn't be built. They have no regard for the law at all. Just destroy, destroy, destroy as fast as humanly possible. So that's what they did. And now if we take over, then we start to twiddle our thumbs, navel gaze. Oh, we need to deport 20 million people. But hold on one second. If you actually look at Article 3, Section 5, and if you study the Supreme Court case, Apple versus Johnson, that the Supreme Court precedent actually says by the letter of then we're finished. We're finished. We can't survive as a country that way. We cannot survive as a country that way if they are going to burn it down as fast as possible. And every time we have a chance to put the fire out, well, sorry, Dad told me I couldn't touch the fire extinguisher. Those are the rules, and I want to be a rule follower. It doesn't work. And rest assured, every single Democrat in this country, from the House to the Senate, state legislature, city council, there hasn't been an inch of daylight between any of them on this issue. They want the border open. They want the barbarians here, as many as they can get here. And once they get them here, they will fight tooth and nail to keep them here. Here's Jamie Raskin.
Here's one person of many who wasn't a terrorist on that flight or a gangbanger. His name's Kilmer Garcia. He's a Marylander married to a U.S. citizen who has a 5-year-old son with autism. And he went to pick up his son, but he was picked up first by ICE. And then he was shackled and put on that airplane and shipped off to the torturers of El Salvador. I call on my colleagues right now to call off the campaign to impeach federal judges for doing their jobs. I call on them to demand that the Trump administration comply with all judicial orders while appealing whichever ones they want to appeal, and to demand the return of people unlawfully taken to El Salvador on that so-called plane full of gangbangers.
Maryland father with an autistic son. That's weird. I almost feel like there was more to that story. Caroline Levitt, was there more to that story?
The error that you are referring to was a clerical error. It was an administrative error. The administration maintains the position that this individual who was deported to El Salvador and will not be returning to our country was a member of the brutal and vicious MS-13 gang. That is fact number one. Fact number two, we also have credible intelligence proving that this individual was involved in human trafficking. And fact number three, this individual was a member, actually a leader of the brutal MS-13 gang, which this president has designated as a foreign terrorist organization. Fact number four is that foreign terrorists do not have legal protections in the United States of America anymore.
Maryland father, a non-citizen, not an American citizen, MS-13 gang leader. And I have watched in recent days a significant portion, not the left, we know what the demons want, a significant portion of the right said, well, I mean, maybe we do need more due process. So we can't risk this. We can't even get through the gang members. We can't even get through deportation of the gang members without the rights. Well, guys, I actually, hold on a minute. Let me study the Constitution. I'm not really. I don't know what you want me to say. Can't save the country like this. The barbarians must go, all 20 million. And that's a good start because there were about 30, 40 million here before Joe Biden took over. We have so much work to do. And if we're going to stop and stall and have to justify ourselves every time there's a little snafu here or there, well, we can't defeat people like this.
Even if you tell me and you prove that they're gang members, I'm not so sure that I'm okay with them being sent off to be tortured in a foreign country, but I'll leave that aside.
They have a mission. They are executing the mission. They are not concerned with the law, precedent, the Constitution. They're not concerned with anything but power and burning down the country. If we are going to handcuff ourselves when they are cuff-free, doesn't matter how many Trumps get elected, we've already lost. All that may have made you uncomfortable, but I am right. I would thank you for coming to my YouTube channel, but I know how brilliant it is, and I know you love it here. So subscribe and watch. We're going to start really ramping things up and putting some funny stuff, some interesting stuff out there, some collaborations. Either way, my YouTube channel is officially the place to be. So stick around.